in Delaware, Wendy Ann in San Juan, Oliver Man Warren, morning to you. Hump Day Wednesday. Yep. Carol Guevara, it's Hump Day. CJ out in a beautiful New York this morning. Good morning to you as well. And Miss Ingrid in Tucson, Arizona, logging on. And speaking of logging on, we got Kazim Mohammed on YouTube. Good morning to you, Kazim. Doreen Pierre, you just snuck in. So good morning to you, Doreen. And let me throw it across to the guys. Good morning to you, Paul Richards. What's shaking?
Morning, Steve. Morning, Wendell.
Morning.
Kwasi Robinson and standby.
No, I was actually responding to somebody who thought we would still be having Minister Imbert. He has rescheduled for next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a change. We have a change of programming today. We have Chairman of Tunapuna Piako, Kwesi Robinson.
Yeah, who I know very well.
And Minister of Health, Terence Dialsi. Right?
I have nagged Kwesi enough in the past couple of, within the last 2 years, I've nagged him. And he has responded in a positive manner. Got my stuff sorted out. Thank you, Kwesi. I'll tell him that live on air this morning. Yeah.
Well, as I had pointed out, I think, was it yesterday we were talking, and we were talking about the battlegrounds. And I know Tunapuna, for all past elections, was always a battleground for local government. But I think, I suspect, due to Kwesi's hard work as a chairman and the council in general, that it's not even being talked about in terms of a battleground. You know, I guess we could, when we speak with Kwesi, we could verify that. In other words, what he is getting on the ground, because he's no longer a councillor. He used to be a councillor. He is now an alderman and chairman, and he is on the list of aldermen again. Of course, you know how that goes. It's a choice after the election, not before. You know, but I think he has done a sufficiently good enough job to be reconsidered. But again, that's not my call, and that's not his call either. You know, so when we speak with him, we will get a sense of what's happening in Tunapuna Piako.
But we originally had him scheduled for 7:07, but he's on early, so we're going to take him at 6:15 to 6:35 again in the news.
He's a busy man, you know.
Well, when you're accustomed to getting up early, you get up early. You can't help it.
Yeah. But when I saw the message that he was into the email, and he responded right away. So I suspected he was going to come on early. When I saw him respond immediately on your thing, I think you would have sent it last night. You know?
They want to lapse again.
Let me see if I get my birthdays out of the way. Donna Lavia, happy birthday. Joanne Joseph, Carla Besemba Ram. Dwayne Beraza, happy birthday, Dwayne. Lincoln Bobby used to be a councillor in the Arima Borough Corporation. Happy birthday, Lincoln. Colvin Fields and Jennifer Ashby Okolai. They are all celebrating birthdays today.
Oh, all right. Okay. I think today is Mickey Crosby's birthday. Is it, Paul?
Yeah, and Whitney Houston would have been 60 years old today.
Play for it. Yeah. Today is also the birthday of Correga Mandela.
Oh.
Hansley Ajoda. And my Dudu, my sweetheart, the sister of Lala, Bijali Lala. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's a great day to be alive. We're happy to be. It's a bit cloudy in Arima though. It looks like we're going to be having a change of weather compared to what we have had over the past few days. I know yesterday there was a downpour in Port of Spain.
Yeah, boy.
Because I saw Michael Phillips put up a picture of Arapita Avenue at some point in time, you know, and it was a lot of water. You know? I don't know if when last have you all passed on the avenue? Because the avenue now have these wonderful plant pots with plants. They put plants in it and flowers and so on. So it's coming along very nicely. I pray and hope people don't interfere the plants and don't
Of
put
course they
garbage
will.
in the
Give it a month. We have no
Oh God,
maintenance.
no,
Give
no,
it a
no,
month.
no, no, no. I can't be so negative.
Yeah.
Please,
It is what it is.
and don't put garbage in the pots. And they've also
All
started to
right.
put down new transit shelters for people to wait on transportation and so on.
And for vagrants to sleep in the night, don't forget.
No, they put it in such a way that you can't lie down on the seats.
You just lie down inside the enclosure. What's your point? I don't want to go inside the enclosure.
Well, that's the risk.
Where's your point?
That's the risk. Yeah, that's the risk. But hopefully they'll monitor it, and they'll have people monitoring
But
them.
monitor, as they monitor anywhere else? Do they monitor it anywhere else?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm disgusted by what I've seen, and I don't know. Well, you guys are on the PBR also. Have you seen those bus stops on the PBR?
That's to make the point. They end up being homes for homeless people.
Yeah.
My God, and why aren't they doing anything about that? There's a man who moves about when they run him from one, he goes to the next, and a pile of garbage he carries with him.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, that's too
RBC
public.
Independence Square.
Oh, jeez, yes.
City Center. Look, don't start me with that this morning.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Let me change the topic and bring in Chris.
Well, I started off by talking about something good, which is what's happening on the avenue, and hopefully they'll maintain it.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Steve. Good morning.
Morning, partner. What's going on? What's going on?
Hi, good. I'm happy to be here. Good morning to all the listeners. It's a pleasure. I'm sorry that I am a chronic early riser, so I got up and
don't be sorry. People don't get up until 10 o'clock and thing. Don't be sorry.
Trust me, we are all chronic early risers. Because of the job we do, and we've been doing for years, we are all chronic early risers. So we understand. As a matter of fact, I'm a chronic non-sleeper. I don't matter rise because it's like I don't be asleep.
You want to rephrase that?
Elections, I get to bed very early. Outside of elections, I'm in bed very early.
Oh, good for you. I'm happy for you.
Were you in Stanley Grande last night?
No, I actually was in the campaign office in Port of Spain. And then I went to Constantine Park. We were working on the final rally. So I didn't make it to
Stanley that's where it's going to be?
Yes, in Constantine Park.
Where's that park?
So wait, is a whole general election campaign final rally and thing? What trouble is this?
I think that the electorate deserves as much communication as possible. And if we want to liken it a general election, then I understand that. But we have to do voter contact, and it's an important election in terms of the reform. I mean, Steve is a Burgess of mine. Wendell wants to be a Burgess of mine. So
I actually am. Well, yes, I am. No, I'm not. I'm a remote.
Yeah, you are Tunapuna. I can't remember the name of that seat, but you're.
But he's a kind of Burgess of yours, Chris, because there's a double palm in Tunapuna region. So.
There's several.
I've never used a double palm and never
Never say never.
Welcome, Kwesi.
When they change the name to triple or quadruple, I'll go.
Anyway, we want to talk a bit about, of course, local government election. We are on the eve, literally the eve now. By this time next week, I'm sure they'll have a couple of recounts called for, if not a court case or two.
That's a given.
How has it been for you? Because you're the chairman of you're still the chairman of the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation, one of the largest, most densely populated areas, regional bodies in the country. What's the general population size there, and how has it been in terms of trying to serve those Burgesses?
It's 200,000 plus, and then another 150 transient in the day because of the hospitals. We have, in addition to Mount Hope, we have about 5 of the major private hospitals in the country in the St. Augustine area. St. Augustine and St. Joseph area, and then we have the universities, again UWI, and also 3 or 4 of the larger private institutions in the region. So we have 100,000 plus transient. It has been a difficult term. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Resources are always limited, and
what have been the major challenges to you?
Resources. So there's resources use, and also coming in as a younger chairman, my own leadership and leadership style. It took me some time to understand how to lead and manage people that I work with, and also because of the funny configuration of the corporations to also work with your CEOs and your senior staff. It's also something tricky to get things done through them, because of course Steve will know I do clean the drain myself. I mean, I have clean drains myself in Frederick Settlement, but normally I don't clean the drains. I have to work through the public servants, through my committees. So it's always difficult to. And when I got into office, we went into COVID. So I wasn't seeing anybody. Even when I went to the office, people wouldn't be there because I continued going to the office all during COVID, but staff will work from home. So to get things done in an environment where you can't see the people who you're expected to lead is always difficult. And also just money, resources. My DP budget for most of the 4 years was under $20 million. And if you split that into 16 electoral districts, you have less than $1 million to spend on that's drainage, roads, parks and recreation grounds per electoral district. And then if you strip away the electoral districts where people live, we have the city centers, Aruka, you have down in the Caroni area, down in Kelly Village, there you have that, then you have Trin City, you have Curep. So you have those city centers.
You have Tunapuna.
Tunapuna that also require additional resources. So in addition to a council paving somewhere where it's densely populated, I then have to ask everybody to take some of the money so that I could patch the roads in front of UE, under the bridge and the drain. Nobody lives there, but we have to invest in the infrastructure there.
You know what road need patching in a big way?
Which road?
Farm road.
So I
have some trenches in there, boy.
I think it's on the list to be paved. So I'll double check. But we have 50 projects that, and this is why we need the reform. Our process to approve those 50 projects started the 1st of October last year.
No, but your understanding, how is it expected to unfold? And has there been an assessment done by the corporation in preparation for when the other parts of the act are proclaimed, particularly the collection of residential taxes? Is there an estimation of how many residential tax options there are in terms of the overall expected income from residential taxes collection for Tunapuna Piako, so you'll know what you're working with?
I've heard my minister Faris Alwari quoted about $60 million in Tunapuna, which again, that's 3 times our average DP budget. So if we also just put that 60 million, or if we collect half of it, 30 million, into our infrastructure, immediately you will see a significant improvement in your quality of life. Because it's not that I am not trying to fix all the problems, but I just require additional resources too.
Chrissy, what's the current configuration of the Tunapuna Piako in terms of the council?
We have a 20-member council, which is 16 elected councillors and 4 aldermen. So currently it's 5 UNC councillors, 11 PNM councillors, and 2 aldermen each. So it's a 13-7 council.
I don't know why.
What is it like working with that kind of configuration? Because to me, that's the ideal situation where you have both parties involved. That's just my opinion.
For me, I have always had a good relationship with both sides of the aisle, and it also allowed me to see and hear and feel people from different regions. So where we have same party lines, when somebody says we have a problem, I know most of the areas because I grew up in the corridor. But when you hear somebody cry out for Frederick Settlement, where they have had drainage issues for 20 years, we're actually going to start some projects there soon. And you go and see it. For you as a human and as a citizen, it's important for you to see different people from different backgrounds and different political parties also try to serve their Burgesses. Because I think we all get there trying to serve Burgesses. I was in the council with Councillor Samuel Sanka. That's the councillor who broke ranks on the UNC to attend the consultation on local government. So I've had some exciting times in the council dealing with both sides of the aisle. And in terms of the aldermen, I have one of the most senior aldermen from the UNC, which is Kevan Gibbs, and also a former councillor and alderman, Diane Bishop. So I have 2 strong aldermen on the UNC side and their councillors. So it's always dicey when it's allocation of resources, but I think in the end they understand, because there was the year before I had to make a decision to give areas that were elected UNC members more money. That's when we reopened after COVID. I have allocated more money to pave roads in the Curep Paja area because of UE. Because people were not home, and my point was that people coming back out to UE, we need to at least pave the roads around the university so that people feel good coming back out after COVID. So I had to take that decision to my council members who were PNM and say, hey, we need to give more money to Jalen, who's a UNC councillor. And I mean, some councillors would of course raise an objection, but after I think everyone saw the importance of it. Similarly, Orupun Boulevard, I'd have done some spot paving there. Again, it was horrible. It's not a PNM, that seat is not PNM, but I had to make the decision as the leader of the council to improve the lives of everybody, regardless if it was a PNM stronghold or not. And consequence of that, I had to not. So my mother lives in the region. She lives on a horrible road, but there's only 4 houses on the road. So, and my mother comes to see me as a Burgess when I have my office day, and registers a complaint about the road. But there are 4 Burgesses on this road. So whenever I have to make the decision, I have to now divorce myself from being a son and being a leader of the corporation, decide to pave in front of UE versus paving my mother road. And I mean,
so are those political considerations often significant? Because to me, you look at the corporation, you have limited resources, and you prioritize. It shouldn't be about whether it's PNM or UNC to me, but I kind of naive and I'm very neutral.
Well, I mean, of course, because you have, as a elected official, you also have stakeholders. So the region is the largest stakeholder, but then you have interests of your party. When they will know this interest of your party members, people saying, we vote in PNM all these years, why don't pave this particular road? And I mean, I have to say, well, no, I cannot pave this road because there's a greater need and a greater priority to fix Curep. And, I would have tried for 2 years to get that Keep Curep Clean project going. Hopefully with the reform it's a bit easier, but Curep pains me and keeps me up at night. The condition of it in terms of the garbage as dumped indiscriminately, especially along that farm road area. So it's really from Montoup to UE. I want to improve that area in terms of how it looks and feels and smells. I think we deserve a better city center in Curep.
And I know you're also battling with a garbage dumping problem on the bus route in that area. That particular stretch between Curep and Mount Hope, it's people dump on the bus route there.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also believe that we should be doing a better job at the corporation, just selling our equipment and manpower there daily to keep it clean. I'm always battling with the administration for this. Like, there's a viewpoint that the people nasty and why they always dump in there. But my position is we have a responsibility to clean it. So maybe when we sort some of these reform things out, I mean, there is no reason why anywhere in the region should look like that, regardless of the people dump it or not. I would expect that we have the capacity that when something is dumped, that we, 1, clean it, and 2, persecute the people that dumping, because we deserve a cleaner society by and large, especially in that Curep area, simply because that stretch leading up to Mount Hope is where people dumping. And if you're sick, or we deserve a better service from the corporation. We ought to have better service.
And in front of the bomb, where the bomb newspaper used to be, oh my goodness, that's
you said you're expecting $1 million. What should you be repositioned as chairman? What would be the priorities? Because it will come down to, and I've said it over and over, when people are now being taxed residential taxes and commercial eventually and industrial and agricultural, they expect better services. They have a right to expect better services. And the projection is approximately $60 million. What can the Burgesses expect for that investment? Because the taxes to me is an investment.
Well, for one, improved infrastructure. there are some drainage issues, especially south of the Caroni River, that ought to be fixed, should be fixed, and once resources are available, will be fixed. Additionally, those city centers ought to be improved. There is no reason why we should let that infrastructure remain like that. And then thirdly, we have 100 plus open spaces and recreation grounds parks in the region. Just better maintenance and upkeep of them. Some of them are in a deplorable condition because we just can't maintain all of them. Compared to Port of Spain, I think Port of Spain have 20 parks.
Yeah, we have quite a bit.
You know, when people are supposed to invest that to get pay that money, that taxes, because it's not optional, there's going to be a louder chorus of discontent if they don't see the services delivered.
But I like the feedback from people, even though sometimes they're upset. I expect people to be engaged in the process. So for one, once this takes effect, I will also set up a percentage of the money where called participatory budgeting. So I want you all to be a part of the process. We have $30 million to spend on road infrastructure. The councils have a decision, and 10 or 15% of that, as a region, we decide we want to spend this. I think that's the way for people to understand and be a part of the system, because now people accuse you of ignoring them or being vindictive towards them when we have a resource issue, and better communication, even though sometimes it might be hostile, or I think always leads to better outcomes. It's, for me, it needs to be more open, not less. People need to know how every dollar is being spent, and that's one of the things that I want to focus on. Once given the opportunity, I want people to know corporation got $100 this month, and this is how we spent your $100. Do you have a problem with it going forward? What do you recommend? Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are how should I put it?
No,
critiquing.
No, the Prime Minister focused a lot on the reform last night.
Say that again, Paul.
Yeah, I think I lost it for a second.
Yeah, I lost it for a second there, Paul. Say that again. Paul?
Well, I was in the middle of saying something when Paul started to talk, so I'm not sure what he said.
No, you broke up a bit.
No, Wendell was saying something, I didn't hear him after a while.
Yeah, because I stopped speaking when you started to speak. I was saying that a lot of people are doubting or critiquing how the reform will work because of what currently obtains in the corporation. And my opinion is that you have to give it a chance. You can't prejudge something that we've never had before, that we've never tried before. So if after a year or two of the reform and councils collecting their own taxes and so on, then you can make, and they don't do what they're supposed to do, then you can make that critique. But to say no, because I was listening also to the conversation with the Prime Minister last night, reference Sangre Grande, and an elderly lady came up and said, when will the racket, how will we know that the racket in Sangre Grande will stop after the reform? But it's a difficult question to answer, But, so those are some of the challenges I would imagine all corporations would face.
But globally, on a global political landscape, I think people are demanding more information on what the governments are doing, and I think reform provides an avenue for that, because you are allowed to come to your statutory meetings and come to these committees or these divisions. So for me, if people know that this is going to take place 6 months from now and we provide the communication, I think it's always better. So even though they don't feel the effects of it immediately, I think once we provide them with the constant updates, and I mean, it's a challenge because for myself as chairman, it takes me a while to get the information. So there are people who write to me for information for 6 months. I'm unable to provide it for them because I have to wait for the staff to bring the information, and it's frustrating. So hopefully once we also build out the employees and the human resource of the corporation, I think people will feel like they're being served. Because right now, even the fact that I spent $29 million on developmental work, people do feel like they're being heard or served. Because again, the way how it functions, the communication is. So we would have awarded 50 road projects. That the process started October the 1st, and we would have awarded 50 road projects in the past 6 weeks. They haven't started yet. But I haven't gotten all the information as a start date because of there's a weird space between how we interact with the administration ourselves. I have to wait for the CEO to give me the report, but people want to know what's going on. So we have contracts that, so it's a weird situation, but people less deserve more information, not less. People need to know the decisions.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the issue of
I think Paul is having internet problems.
Yeah, Paul, you're having internet problems for sure today.
I'm glad you mentioned the situation of building out the employee and the full-time employees, because it is envisioned to be more full-time people. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You hearing me?
Yeah.
Yes, Paul.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned the building out of the positions. What is its status regarding that? Because the full act hasn't been proclaimed, and persons who have offered themselves is not a part-time gig anymore in many instances. So how do you envision this evolving into when the full act is proclaimed, given that people will not be able to hold in some positions outside jobs or substantive jobs anymore? Many of the positions are not going to be full-time.
I mean, the exact rollout and the time, I think that question may be better answered by Minister Alwari or Minister Imbut. However, in terms of the persons in Tunapuna Corporation who have offered themselves for service, most of them understand what they're getting involved with. We'd have all been a part of the reform process. So I don't think people have an issue dedicating themselves to service, because at the end of the day, if you were in it to make money or to get a big salary, there are many other things persons could do to be more gainfully employed. I think local government is really a act of service. People want to help, and I mean, I am not saying this for only PNM members. I am saying, in spite of how people may feel about it, I am involved in local government for 10 years, and by and large, people come there because they want to help and they want to serve. People don't come there looking for a job necessarily. So I think that this rollout will see people making the sacrifice required to serve.
I always tell people, when I started off in local government, the stipend was 1,250. So it had nothing to do with money. 24 years later, guess what it is? 4,230. Yeah. So local government have no money in it.
Well, I mean, the reform, as I understand it, is expected to deal with those salary issues, those remuneration issues, and also service delivery issues. Kwesi, in our final moments, what do you want to tell the population? We have 3 days to go, or 5 days to go. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days to go.
I mean, to the burgesses, specifically of Tunapuna, I ask you all to come out and vote. I think you all have seen the dedication of the council, and myself as chairman, come out and vote. It's a referendum on the reform. I believe that this is going to improve our lives. Just look at Tobago. I don't know any dump site in Tobago, and I mean, it's cleaner.
There's so much I can say there, but I won't.
So the citizens of Trinidad who have to go and vote, I mean, go out and vote. It's an important election. All elections are important. You have an opportunity to make a decision on your future, but you have to make it on Monday. And then allow, when the reform comes, allow the councils the opportunity to implement the reform. And I think just be engaged with your councils. And for you guys, I think thank you all very much for this opportunity to speak to your listeners, have a conversation with you all. And those of you all, unfortunately, who are not my burgesses, which is Paul and Wendell, I think that
poor fellas.
I think isn't Paul one of your burgesses?
Paul?
St. Joseph?
Yes, of course.
I'm Samuel Avantil.
Oh, you are?
Yes. So I think that you all could speak to Steve about probably buying property in the region, because especially with the
But
reform, I
Steve have
think.
property to sell?
No, well, he's a,
No,
he's
but
a good neighbor.
I'll tell you something, because when we moved to the Pet Butler, there were some things I realized that needed to be fixed around the area, and I took a mental note of it. And I called Quasi and I said, blah, blah, blah. And Quasi said, you know what? I'm on the road. I'm coming by you now. And he came and we took a quick walk around the area and said, well, we need to get this. All right, good. I'm going to get somebody to organize that. So said, so done.
While I find that's commendable, I think all regional bodies need to have an assessment agency or division to look at the entire area to see what needs to be fixed. Because not everyone has a direct line to Quasi like you, Steve.
Everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
There are supervisors and all that, There are supervisors and all that, Paul. I always talk about that in Port of Spain.
And look at Port of Spain. There we go. Talk done.
Yeah,
Argument
supervisors
finished.
driving, passing.
And look at Port of Spain. Argument finish. Crazy closing comments, please, before I get started here this morning.
Let's thank you, gentlemen, very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the Burgesses, and go out and vote in the election. And to the listeners, thank you all very much. And no, I'm not a trillionaire. I see a comment saying that am I a trillionaire?
Where is that? How come you all see those things and I don't see it?
Because there's a corner called comments, but you can press comments and see the comments when oh gosh. Crazy, thank you very much for being with us.
Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, that's good. Take care.
There's a challenge,
How come nobody told me about this corner?
We didn't tell you. Yes, play with all kind of thing, play with the thing.
Well, I now play up with it and I like it.
While that was going on, we got some messages coming through. So let me say good morning going out to Rita Boodoo Jennings, Ray, out in a scorching hot Florida, West Palm Beach. Marcia Rock, good morning. Rena Boodoo Jennings, the great Anthony Tinto out in Canada. Roma Roach Thomas, good morning. Winston Jones, Morgans. Bernice McDonald, good morning. Good morning to you. And Mrs. R just snuck in. So good morning to you guys. Thank you so much for watching us on YouTube. Paul,
all right, time for papers. You also think of a question. It's 20 minutes moving up to 7 o'clock. Later on, after 7, we have the Minister of Health, Terence Dale-Singh, in. He talked about, of course, St. Joseph. And he said he's coming into studio, Steve, as you know, to bring some of the items that I think were on the unregistered list, etc. To deal more with that.
Set up frame already.
Deal more with that the issue of the Food and Drug Administration and the 40 pharmacies that were visited and items seized, right? So that's coming up just after 7 o'clock. Right now, let's jump into the newspapers. It's Wednesday, the 9th of August. Happy birthday, Nikki Crosby, and anyone else celebrating a birthday today. Let's start with the Guardian. Court orders 964 migrants released from heliport on supervision orders. Belmont woman faces murder charge after death of accountant. Integrity Commission says no merit in opposition's allegations against the Prime Minister. Former Florida governor insists stand your ground law works. Neighbors demand businesswoman's killers be held. Ministry seizes expired unregistered drugs at 40 businesses. PM makes his Integrity Commission forms public. Rowley, Jack seeking deal with UNC to avoid extradition. So those are Guardian trending stories this morning. Let's move now to the Newsday. Guardian Media further into red. EBC agrees to Kamla's call for parties to verify special ballots. CAFA hosts regional health security meeting. Slow TNT start to fast 5 netball. Kamala slams PM as Integrity Commission responds. Guardian Media further into the red with 3.9 million loss for second quarter. Transport Commissioner, no intimidation in Tobago. Met Office says we'll have heat until October. Grande man dies on crash on Valencia stretch. And let students examine results. So let's move now to the Express Online for today. Rowley shares all. Death of a Naps boy. Family in one room. Probing Timor's murder at sensitive stage. Don't badmouth TNT Healthcare. Legal issues shadow Atlas plant. And PwC wins Digital Innovation of the Year award. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday online for today, Wednesday, the 9th of August, 2023.
You know, I have to tell you, quick, before we get into the poll, I really find it utterly ridiculous and utterly tasteless that the opposition leader, Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, would be going on political platforms and calling up the names of people, private citizens, in their capacity of whatever, chairman of Integrity Commission, a worker at the Integrity Commission, or whatever else, in the manner that she's been doing it. Why is she doing that? Why is she doing public servants that on a political platform? I really find it utterly ridiculous. And that they're looking for a walk is because they want to get back their walk. Why they say what they say. And then, of course, she went into a tirade about the Guardian newspaper. I hold no brief for the Guardian newspaper. You understand? But I don't know that the Guardian sympathizes with this government. Oh, please, give me a break.
Morning, Raghubar.
Morning, guys. Morning, Richie Rich. All right, let's get into this morning's poll, but let's give the results of our poll from yesterday. Yesterday, we asked you, do you believe the Prime Minister's account that he disclosed his Tobago townhouse to the Integrity Commission? Do you believe the Prime Minister's account that he disclosed the Tobago's townhouse to the Integrity Commission?
The question is now void, because he showed the documents.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
but I still have to give the results. Well,
77,
77
80% say no, I'm sure.
77 said no.
You see, I
And they're
expected
all
that.
wrong.
I expected that.
And they're all wrong.
I expected that.
Yeah.
Because, and that's why I mentioned yesterday, I found it strange, curious, that the Integrity Commission would be responding to an opposition MP. I've never heard of that before. Especially with a form that is private. That is a private form. Oh.
All right, let's get into this morning's poll.
The only thing that comes to my mind is related to the 64 migrants who were released on supervision orders by the court. If you agree with that move.
I don't know how they're going to supervise.
To release the 64 migrants.
You need to alert our listeners what you're talking about, because they may have missed it.
Well, the court orders migrants released from the heliport. A group of 64 Venezuelan migrants who were detained at the Chaguanas heliport have been granted conditional release pending the outcome of their lawsuit over their proposed deportations. So, and we also can, Dr. Rowley, the Prime Minister, last night, when asked by one of the persons in the audience about Jack Warner's re-entry, I think the Prime Minister used some interesting language related to that. And he said that he thinks that Jack Warner is back with the United National Congress because Warner wants to be with people who would make a deal so he wouldn't be extradited from TNT. That could be also a question.
That could be a good question, because I don't think people are familiar with the migrant thing too much. You might need to get
your choose.
All right, yeah, we can ask that. Do you agree with the Prime Minister that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal?
To avoid extradition?
To avoid extradition, right? We can add in that part, yeah.
Raghubar Singh is already frozen. No, he's just not thinking anything. He face blank. He's thinking of something else.
I'm seeing him blinking.
But he's in another world right now, communicating with Mars or something, because he's just no expression on the face at all.
Yeah. Somebody must be rubbing the small of his back with a tea in their hand. Richard?
Yeah, he's there. All right. So our poll this morning.
Put up our poll, please, Paul.
So we're going with that question, right?
Yeah, we're going with that.
But I have to type it. All right. Do you agree with the Prime Minister
that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal to avoid extradition? Yes or no?
All right, they could hear the keypads going. 222-8255, toll-free North Americans. 866-525-1099. On those on YouTube, you can send us a message, yes or no, as well as our mobile app and our website at power102fm.com. Good morning to Raul Passad.
I must put everything right this morning.
Brenda Isaac, Wayne B. Good morning to you as well. Mr. Carapo, Rampage, good morning. Yeah, Mr. CJ from New York said, I hope Mr. Patrick is okay. He hasn't called into the program for over a week. It is true. You're not the only one to say that.
Yes, I was, yes. She messaged me that yesterday too.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I've been hearing that since yesterday. All right, got some votes coming in. I got Wayne B saying yes. Slick Money Grip says, paging Richard, come back to earth. Paging Richard, come back to earth.
Wayne B is in Covington, Georgia. That's where I stayed when I went to Georgia, Covington.
Okay.
Very nice place.
Michael Williams says yes. Thank you, Michael. Let's see. Central Animal Lover via our message board, via our mobile app and website. Yes to the poll. Trini in Boston, that says morning, and Wayne out in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada, says yes. Dre, I vote yes. H.S. Wilson, definitely no. Alistair Hart says good morning. Yes to the poll. Do you agree with the Prime Minister's opinion that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal to avoid extradition? Yes or no? Call us 222-8255.
That's a real long background, though.
866-525-1099.
Yeah, like in a days.
Yeah, Richard probably had too many beers in the morning. Winston Jones, yes to the poll, of course. I won't say the rest, Mr. Jones.
You know, I've been guilty. I've been having this thing on full screen all the time and missing out these comments on the side. What an epiphany this morning.
I think Richard's having some technical issues.
I always ask you, where you all seen those comments. You remember me asking that?
It's been there all the time.
Catch on, we know, but you catch on eventually.
No, but it's because I have to minimize my screen to get the comments.
No, you don't. You just have to
put
the option in the comments and the screen will minimize for itself.
Mr. Carapo says yes to the poll. GB says yes. What says you, caller?
Hey, morning, everybody. Wendell, you can't put
you're resting. People want to know what happened to you.
Boy, Wendell, I got early rise and I doing some work these days, but I helped my son fix up our apartment and I doing some work by me too. Plenty of work going on, man.
But you're busy.
But I listen to the silly season, boy.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I know that.
Boy, I know what's going on, man, but everything all right, man. Everything all right.
Well, good to hear from you, Mr. Patrick. Yes.
Wendell.
Yes, sir.
The coming up, boy.
Yeah.
The
coming up in what?
5 days away.
The verdict. Yeah, man, the verdict. When I write here.
Nice, Mr. Patrick. Glad to know everything is okay.
What's your name coming up in Wendell?
All right. You want to answer our morning poll?
What's the poll?
Do you agree with the Prime Minister's opinion that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal to avoid extradition?
No comments. Go on.
All right, Mr. Patrick, have a good one. Good to hear you.
Is it that other people who are posting comments can see the other people comments also?
Yes,
I think so.
Oh, because I'm seeing a battle group brewing there.
That's normal.
What your name was being called in? I had to keep logging on and off, on and off. Something was giving me technical difficulties this morning.
No, I think Mr. Patrick meant the verdict in terms of the election, the big day coming up for the election, the verdict.
Oh, you mean on Monday?
Yes, I think that's what he meant.
Okay.
All right. Kazim Mohammed says yes. Thank you,
out the whole
Kazim
number
Mohammed.
yesterday that I wrote down, eh?
Stretch says duh. Duh. Stretch. Yes or no?
Out.
Duh.
You missed out Susie B. You missed out Winston Jones. You missed out Slick Money Grip, and you missed out Mo Gaines.
Those are YouTube votes.
Yeah, so I got those.
Go.
And Celeste, who's DS Lips Celeste?
Mrs. R.
Is that
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Sleepiest person in the world.
Richard, all right, young man said it for me.
We did?
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
I'm being a blanket put up high this morning.
Oh,
She done clean that finger ready to vote Monday. You know.
oh yeah. Well,
She went to
take off nail
the
polish,
manicure and
everything.
thing, you know. She done manicure to vote, you know. Pull out she red scarf and thing, you know. Doing she here Saturday.
Mm.
And she ignoring she here and thing.
You know, we should try to speak with somebody from the EBC. Well, it's probably not possible now because we have a full day tomorrow and Friday. Concerning the wearing of colors, because you can wear any color you want on voting day, just that you can't wear symbols. You can't wear a jersey t-shirt with a symbol on it or a party symbol on it. But you can wear red, you can wear yellow, you can wear green, you can wear.
But it's impractical to tell everybody to wear white, eh? So
yeah, but no, because that has been a debate over the last few elections about in terms of colors. But you can wear any color you want as long as it doesn't have a symbol.
Right now, all the colors are almost gone, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Look how much drama we're getting for wearing a blue shirt here. Or blue t-shirt.
Just wear a rainbow t-shirt, that's all, and you're safe.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
And I have one purple, so.
You have one purple wear.
Right
That
now.
looks like blue here, but
That's looking like blue, Richard.
It may
maybe
translate
my
as
chroma
blue. Yeah, it may translate as blue through your to your respective
devices.
devices, but it's purple.
The question this morning, do you agree with the Prime Minister's opinion voiced last night at the Sangre Grande conversations that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal to avoid extradition? Yes or no?
I'm seeing Fitzroy Julian saying yes, and Ronnie Voisin also saying yes. Kazim Mohammed also said yes.
I think the minister thought we were having breakfast here. He was very eager to come into the studio this morning.
I could order breakfast from Manu's.
Is the Prime Minister aware of the platform? Because he also thinks he maybe have to be coming in.
No, he doesn't think so because they told me they'd send the email, his email address, 24 hours before. So they know it's a virtual meeting, sir.
All right.
All right. Julia Samantha says no. Ronnie Vonzan said yes. I think he did that. Let's check our message board here. D says yes to the poll.
Because if he was coming to the studio, you'd have find yourself down in that studio to get some tea room gossip.
Well, I definitely would come down and welcome my Prime Minister. You crazy? I would have come to the studio if he could have been accommodated there. Because he's one plums, he's one and plumbing season, he's one like chow and thing, you know.
Politicians are not supposed to accept gifts, sir.
You know, I want to tell him on Friday when he comes on the show, right? I actually was checking out that same place in Inez Gate, you know. I was there the day when he was there.
Oh, Lord.
He didn't see me, I didn't see him.
Oh, Lord.
But I was there. I just didn't go through with it because
I don't think you want the Prime Minister knowing who is coming and going to your house. So I think you purchasing a property that might have been problematic in the long run.
That would have been prior to my recent configuration. But I did visit Gate some years ago to have a look at it.
Your present configuration. I like that. And what is your present configuration, sir?
Oh, you don't want to know.
But Richard is attaining it low. What is his present configuration?
Do you agree with the Prime Minister's opinion that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal to avoid extradition? That is our morning poll. Yes or no? You message us on YouTube as well as our mobile app and website. Or if you could call like this caller 222-8255 and North Americans toll free 866-525-1099. Good morning.
Well, I voted already, but I just want to check out, seeing that we don't get time to talk again, I just want to ask Wendell quick. Wendell, did you greet the king where I live was here, because that is your favorite place, to let him know that you live here?
I did speak about a cocktail reception that I went to, that he was there.
Oh, okay.
I was
Nice.
invited. The group that went to Ghana, we were specially invited to the cocktail reception with him.
Right. So you let them know how you love the woman over there and that you may live over there only permanently. Good morning, my darling. Paul, you know that my blanket pull up high. You're real no man.
Like strong and really serious morning. You couldn't call for weeks, so now you're calling. You understand? Election in the area, you must know. Road paving and Vina calling.
Oh,
That's a soca right there.
Richard, you see the trip on the road?
It's time. Listen, let the people know what to vote. It's you.
Yeah, we got to run into mute.
All right.
Thank you.
Richard,
Definitely woke up.
you see they paved the top of Omera Road?
Did they? No, I didn't pass there.
From the bus route all the way down.
Oh, I saw when they were paving it. They paved it straight to the highway?
I'm not sure. I haven't driven on the road, but it looked...
The paved Omera Road? I wonder if the election coming around.
I wonder, boy.
Maybe the election coming around. The paved road? Maybe they have an election looming.
I know
they put some potholes in Barataria. I wonder if election.
I don't know
predictable.
Up there.
So predictable in this country. So predictable. Backwards when they come out around election and steamroller.
Yeah, but
like there's been a hiatus until the election come around.
Has been particularly bad.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into
and they finally pave it.
I wonder if election coming. Let's get into our 7 o'clock major news. Avia's in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Prime Minister makes public his declaration of income, assets, and liabilities to the Integrity Commission. A report or group of 64 Venezuelan migrants detained at the Chaguaramas heliport have been released pending the outcome of their lawsuit over their proposed deportation. 28 citizens given permission to take legal action against the Office of the Police Commissioner over FUL permission delay, and 9 bodies found after fire at a France holiday home. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Santel-Bab. Good morning. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday published extracts from his Integrity Commission declaration forms as he sought to refute the claims he breached the Integrity in Public Life Act. Reports this week claim that Dr. Rowley had not declared the purchase of a townhouse at Innes Gate in Sherborne, Tobago by himself and his wife. However, Dr. Rowley said notification of the purchase was filed with the Integrity Commission in 2019. A post on his Facebook page showed his Integrity Commission declaration of income, assets, and liabilities for the year ending December 2019, which includes the Tobago Townhouse on a list of 7 properties owned by Dr. Rowley. The specific documents published on his Facebook page were the confidential Form A and Form B for the year 2019-2020. The Prime Minister asked the readers of this post to note carefully, and there is nowhere on Form B where one is required to fill in any detail about a townhouse. The Prime Minister did not declare the property on Form B, but did so in Form A, which he had suggested was the appropriate form for doing so, since Form B, in his view, only calls for declarations with respect to physical land. A group of 64 Venezuelan migrants detained at the Chaguaramas heliport have been released, pending the outcome of their lawsuit over their proposed deportation. The migrants were among a large group of fellow nationals who were detained for immigration offenses at a nightclub in St. James on July 8th. Justice Ricky Rahim delivering the judgment yesterday afternoon, in which he ordered that the group be released on orders of supervision, which will remain in place until their joint substantive lawsuit is eventually determined. The Immigration Division was also barred from executing the deportation orders against the group. Relatives of the migrants began gathering outside the heliport just after 4 p.m. in the hope of seeing their loved ones walk out to their freedom. Tears of joy flowed outside the heliport late yesterday evening as some of the detained Venezuelan migrants were released following the High Court order. 28 citizens have been given permission to take legal action against the Office of the Police Commissioner over the lengthy delay in deciding whether to grant them firearm usance licenses. High Court Judge Nadia Kangulu yesterday granted the claimants leave to pursue their judicial review on constitutional motion cases. The claimants were all issued provisional FULs after submitting applications to the Commissioner's office under the tenure of former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith and being vetted. They claim that they completed training and were certified by registered firearm instructors, but Griffith's successors, former Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob and current Police Commissioner Earl Haywood Christopher, failed to decide whether they should be granted FULs. The delays in deciding on the FULs range from 22 to 25 months, approximately 2 years. The United National Congress is calling on Chief Elections Officer of the EBC, Fern Narcisco, to reverse a decision and allow the UNC to witness the sorting of special voter ballots on Friday, 11th August 2023 at the EBC's head office. Ms. Narcisco communicated her decision to not allow the UNC to witness the sorting of these special ballots by telephone to the UNC on Tuesday. However, the UNC claims the election rules enshrined in law do not contemplate any delays with ballots which have been cast by staff of the Elections Boundaries Commission in the absence of the candidate or an appointed representative. Accordingly, the UNC has formally written to Ms. Narcisco to ask her to reconsider her position and respond by 12 noon on Wednesday. Should Ms. Narcisco fail to respond or deny their legal and democratic rights, the UNC says that they will be constrained to seek judicial intervention in the matter to ensure the sanctity of the democratic electoral process as prescribed by the Representation of the People Act is maintained and conducted in accordance with the letter as well as the spirit and intent of the law. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Further afield, 9 bodies have been found and 2 more people are feared dead after a fire at a holiday home resulting or hosting people with learning disabilities in France. Nearly 80 firefighters were sent to the blaze in La Forge after emergency services were alerted at 6:30 local time on Wednesday. The missing people are considered potentially deceased, according to a local official. The cause of the fire at the property is not yet clear. 17 people were evacuated from the building, while at least 1 person has been taken to hospital. Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin earlier confirmed a rescue operation was underway, but said it was likely there were several casualties from the fire in the town, which is located near Winstonheim, close to the German border. Well, finally, here is weather news for the period this morning. Today till midnight, Trinidad and Tobago partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with scattered showers and the medium chance of a few thunderstorms. A few settled periods during the afternoon into evening, but similar conditions overnight. Gusts and street flooding are likely in the event of a heavy downpour. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Recapping your headlines at 7 o'clock, the Prime Minister makes public his declaration of income, assets, and liabilities to the Integrity Commission. A group of 64 Venezuelan migrants detained at Chaguaramas heliport have been released pending the outcome of their lawsuit over their proposed deportation. 28 citizens given permission to take legal action against the Office of the Police Commissioner over FUL permission delay, and 9 bodies found after fire at France holiday home. I'm Avril Sindhilbab. That was News 2, 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you, Avi. Thank you, Avi. Thank you, Avi. For our major news, of course, you can join Avi again. Come at 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right, gentlemen. I just want to give you, let's see what's happening traffic-wise quickly before I get into the guys. Let's see, leaving San Fernando, you've got some traffic from Marabella heading towards Claxton Bay. Couva towards Freeport, and you speed up, and just before Chaguanas by Chase Village, you'll get some traffic. Rivulet Road is beginning to build. Chaguanas Main Road is a bit heavy. Trinity City to UE, and then after that, it's straight in the Port of Spain for you guys. Eastern Main Road is not bad at this time. Coming out of the west, out of Carenage, you've got some traffic there. Of course, that is going to start pretty much from by the Yacht Club as you try to come out of Carenage and out of the west in that area. All right, so that's a quick update for you. Paul, let me just get the minister here while you chat for a second.
Chat about. Anyway, 7:10. We're standing by to speak to Minister of Health, Terence Deharsing.
Well, I can give the results.
Yes, Wendell.
Our poll this morning was, do you agree with the Prime Minister's opinion that Jack Warner re-entered politics to strike a deal to avoid extradition? We had 22 votes this morning. 20 of you said yes, 2 said no. And it's just started to pour rain in Arima. Outside is extremely dark and the rain just came down in torrents in Arima. So 20 people said yes, 2 said no to our poll this morning. All right, I'll be switching on my camera. Give me about 2 minutes while I finish my bacon saltfish.
Okay. Steve may want to remove that background, which is obscuring the minister's view.
Yeah, now I'm going to organize that. So just give me 1 second here. Right, you guys go ahead.
The minister is in studio.
Yes, he is. If you read your messages.
Okay.
And he's worked with some props.
Yeah, what is all that?
Steve is not too versed at arranging camera angles, but we'll work with it. Much better, Steve can. Much better, Steve can. Much better.
Let me just fix it a little bit.
Good morning, Minister Deharsing.
Hold on, I ain't ready for you yet. I'm still doing a
clearly not hearing me yet.
No,
you won't. Oh my God, let me take out that until Steve fixes it.
Yeah, do that.
That's a bit much for people to be enjoying this morning. Yeah. Anyway, tomorrow morning our guest will be none other than Gary Griffith, political leader of the NTA. And on Friday, we have scheduled Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley as we lead into local government elections 2023 on Monday coming. We'll see how it goes. It is expected to be according to the political analysts that I have seen comment on it, a higher than usual voter turnout because of the intensity of the campaign so far from both major political parties, including the PNM and the UNC, which both at present hold 7 of the corporations each. We will see how the results pan out on Monday, particularly with the appearance of some other parties in this election, namely the NTA, which has formed an alliance with the UNC, the People's Empowerment Party, headed by Philip Alexander, the PDP, headed by Watson Duke, of which Fuad Abubakar is one of the candidates for, I think, Belmont West.
North and West.
And also the Farmers Party, which I think is working with Philip Alexander's party, and also several independent candidates who are contesting about 7 or 8 of the districts. I don't know what Steve is doing, really and truly. I have to take him off. It's a good thing I took it off because it's all over the place.
But that issue of Mrs. Prasad, Paul, calling up the names of public servants on platforms and as if they're doing the bidding of the government to keep the work, and because one of them applied for silk. I mean, come on, why is that being done to people? Why is that being done to people? I never like it, regardless of where it comes from. But it's happening in this campaign, in a local government election campaign. The first thing we started to do is talk about the Prime Minister and what he acquired and whatnot, and how he breached the integrity. He's proven that he has not done it. And yet still you on a platform calling the names of public servants who you feel are doing the bidding of the Prime Minister and of the government because they want to keep the work. Come on, I really find that tasteless. Very, very tasteless.
All right. Gentlemen, you put me back on, Paul.
Your device is disconnected, Steve.
Oh.
You call the names of public servants, is it?
Yes, the head of the Integrity Commission and somebody else who works at the Integrity Commission, she would have called both of their names. A Ram Logan and a Jilks. Or is it Ram Lagan and Jilks? I'm not, one of the two. She called their names.
Is it Frederick Jilks?
Frederick Jilks, that's the name she called. That's the name. And I think it's Winston Ram Logan or something so.
Okay.
Why are you doing that to people on a political platform? Tasteless.
The other issue that we could just chat a bit about before the Minister Steve logs back in and we get Minister Dale Singh on is the issue of the 64 migrants who've now been granted conditional release on supervision by the courts pending the outcome of their trials for deportation, which is a very interesting development, which may have some implications for persons who are caught and found to be, well, not caught, who are detained and found to be illegally in the country. And it speaks to something that we've spoken about over and over again regarding persons who are seeking asylum and a refugee status without a proper, what seems to be a clear policy, and just holding people for indeterminate periods of time pending deportation. And that process of detention to deportation that now the courts have weighed in on. You understand?
Yeah.
And to me, it comes out of the lack of clarity in the policy.
I think part of the problem that the state encountered as a result of that is the heliport and the heliport's condition as a detention center. I think that works against the state.
Oh, well, all right, okay. I get your point.
Yeah,
it was because of the accommodation. Why?
No, I'm not saying that was the reason, substantive reason, but I think that's contributed to this. Because remember, it was not considered a place of detention.
Yeah, because you can't hold people in substandard conditions.
Yeah, they tried to fix that by saying, okay, it's now an official place.
Because it was a detention. So they need to sort out the business regarding those situations because they're not going to end anytime soon. And not having a really clear policy is part of the issue.
Exactly. It just makes sense to have a comprehensive policy in place with regard to issues like that.
Steve, we're still seeing you. We're not seeing Minister Deyalsingh. All
Steve,
right, Joy J97 said, so when are you going to have the opposition leader on the program? We would love to hear her being interviewed live.
We have made several overtures. We have made several overtures without success.
Right, we've seen Minister Deyalsingh now.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Minister Deyalsingh.
Good morning, Pablo Paul Richards, PhD, doctor.
All of that.
Well, he sent me a WhatsApp yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And on his profile is Pablo Paul Richards, PhD.
All of that?
All of that?
All that, Paul?
There's a little bit of narcissism there.
Morning, gentlemen. Morning.
I work for that channel. Nobody can give me that channel.
I agree.
All right. Nobody can hand me that channel.
Morning, Minister. Thanks for joining us.
Unlike Wade Mark.
Rewind. Rewind. I don't know that is an accurate statement. Please rewind. Member, please withdraw. Member, please withdraw. Member, please withdraw that statement.
Withdrawn speaker.
Thank you. Wow.
Minister, thanks for coming in. We want to apologize.
But I was expecting to meet you all in person. I brought many.
Yeah, no, we want breakfasts.
But you all are not here, so Steve will
I will eat all.
Anyway, thanks for joining us.
For me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us this morning. First of all, I know you've been working with candidates, your PNM's local government candidates, in the St. Joseph MP. How many districts or divisions are there, local government, in terms of local government, in the St. Joseph constituency?
Yeah, so the St. Joseph constituency has about 6 areas, 5 under Sanwal Laventil and 1 under Tunapuna Piarco. So the Tunapuna Piarco is the Valsain St. Joseph seat, which is to the eastern extremity of the constituency. And then everything else west of St. Joseph St. Joseph Valsain falls under Sanwal Laventil. So the vast majority of the area falls under Sanwal Laventil.
Oh, who is the councillor then for the district in St. Joseph, the Valsain area?
Seema Augustine, UNC.
A UNC councillor. Okay. All right.
Well, right. So how? Go ahead, Wendell.
No. I think we were going to ask the same question. So how has it been going? The campaign going in terms of the people under your watch, the councillors under your watch, candidates.
Okay, so we are confident of doing very well in the Valsain St. Joseph seat. The 2 incumbents that we have in Sanwal Laventil, which will be the Sanwal East, Councillor Raphael John, we are confident of retaining that. We have gone in with a new, younger candidate in the Mount Dor and part of the Mount Lambert area, Kadeem Graham. He's very young, he's very keen, and we are confident again of retaining that seat. What we are trying to do with the 2 incumbents that we have under Sanwal Laventil is not only retain, but retain by wider margins. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are trying to do. The others under Sanwal Laventil, we are working very hard to do well. I was with one of them up to yesterday. And we are confident of retaining what we have and hopefully springing one or two little surprises along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because, quite frankly, I've been very disappointed in the candidate from Mount Lambert who was here before. I'll say it publicly. Very disappointed.
Yeah. And that's why we had to go with someone new.
Well, I've seen Kadeem Graham. I've seen his campaign, and he seems very eager.
Yes, he's been working with me for 5 years now in my office. So I could attest to his keenness to work, his sincerity. He's a son of the Mount Dore area, so he's well-grounded, well-rooted. And I think he's going to make an excellent, excellent counselor. As a matter of fact, he has a bright future ahead of him. And when I introduced him at the Quasi a few weeks ago in a campaign meeting, my exact words were, his future is so bright, you will need shades to look at him in 2 years. No, he's very keen. He has been immersed in how I operate, how I service constituents, so he knows what service is about.
Right.
Now, are these persons prepared to go full-time when all the parts of the Reform Act are proclaimed? Because that's part of the intention, to reform local government delivery of services. That has been a complaint for many years.
Correct. So it's not only are they prepared to, by law they have to go to. And that is a major plank of local government reform that Burgesses need to be educated on. A part-time counselor cannot fulfill the duties and rules that a modern society needs, that a modern Burgess needs. There are too many local government issues. And gentlemen, let me say, as a member of parliament, local government issues are the number 3 issue that residents come to their member of parliament, simply because local government doesn't work. So a member of parliament has to see about garbage collection, drain cleaning, and everything else, which is not realistic. So that is why we have to get full-time local government councillors on the ground doing this job 24/7, because the current system of part-time councillors being paid a stipend does not work for the councillor, but more importantly, does not work for you, the Burgess, who needs their support to keep their communities clean, well-run every single day. I keep telling people, local government councillors are more important than MPs to your daily existence.
Yeah, that's a fact.
What's the relationship like from you? Because you're going to speak to your own relationship, your own experience between yourself as the MP and the councillors in terms of the issues that come to your office and they, in many cases, have to address.
Yeah. So what we do at my office, I have one person dedicated, because local government doesn't work, dedicated to be the liaison when constituents come, to be that liaison between my office and the different councillors in the different areas. One person dedicated. Now that should not be if you have a functioning local government system. So whilst the relationship is good, it should not be. A member of parliament should not be seen about streetlights, a wassail. All those things fall under the domain of local government. But we do it because we understand that constituents can't get the redress that they need and the attention that they need from part-time councillors. So we have to do it, and we do it willingly and gladly, because we don't like to see people being distressed by these daily irritants.
And what are the main irritants that come to your attention?
Yeah, drainage, drains to be clean, drains to be built, garbage not being collected. When garbage isn't collected, you have rats and flies, cockroaches. It becomes a public health hazard. I mean, those are just two of the major ones that every day people complain about. And then with the expansion of the roles and responsibilities for local government will start to take over maintenance of schools. Right now, we have some issues with Mount Dore Primary School. I was up there last week. Now, why should an MP be involved in that when we have or will have a full-time local government representative with the resources at the corporation to actually take over the maintenance of schools so that schools don't have to be maintained out of Port of Spain. Decentralize the thing. It can be done faster. It can be done better. It creates employment at the local level. It's just a win-win for everybody. So I urge everybody to come out and support local government reform next week, Monday. It will work for you.
The issues of how the projects in the constituency, the development projects, are going to be reconciled with what the responsibilities of the regional bodies are. Has that come for discussion? Because I mean, in every regional body area, people want maintenance and service, but they also want development. And there's a balancing act that has to take place, because some are under the auspices of the Ministry of Planning and the central government, and some are under and the minor projects are under now or will be under the regional bodies.
So under local government reform, Paul, and thanks for asking that question, local government bodies will be responsible for what we call, I think, is minor planning permission. So you no longer have to go to town and country. So that's a layer of bureaucracy out. But let me get back to your major question. Do you know that many infrastructural and capital projects cannot be done at the local level because a CEO who is a public servant may not want it? Who elected a CEO to office? Who elected a CEO at a regional corporation to say yay or nay? When the MPs who are elected get the blame, the councillors who are elected get the blame, and the CEO, for some reason, blocks a project. We have to get rid of that. A public officer should not be able to stymie the will of an electorate who was elected an MP and a local government representative to get work done. So that is why we are moving to these executive councils and strip away the unfettered power of a CEO. It just does not work. And the public doesn't see this part of it. They just blame the councillors, blame the MPs. But a lot of the blame has to go at the feet of CEOs of corporations who don't cooperate with us and who we have to genuflect to get things done as representatives of the people.
That is part of the reform package, right?
And Wendell, you will know.
Yes, I can relate to that.
You can relate to that.
Yeah.
It's just an untenable situation that an unelected public officer holds the purse strings and has the decision as to what goes forward or not. And the elected officials take all the blame from the public. But the public doesn't know.
Well, I think it's been widely discussed the issues with that. We should ask the same question. Minister, how do you expect it to work now? Think about St. Joseph, your constituency, for example. Some of the areas will get will have residential taxes from Tunapuna Piako, and some will have residential taxes from San Juan Laventil. How is that going to reconcile in terms of where the money is spent and how the projects, the maintenance projects, because it may seem complicated and convoluted to some who may not understand how it's intended to operate?
So the Tunapuna Piako, which is the biggest region of the 14 in the country geographically, and I think also population-wise, they will collect their resources. If they don't have enough, it will be supplemented by central government. Then they will take all their infrastructural needs and projects from all regions and then allocate resources. So the Valsain St. Joseph seat, which is from Cayman, St. Joseph, Valsain North, Valsain South, down to Bamboo 1, Bamboo 2, and Nuge East Grove, they will have resources based on what they pay into the kitty and what is then supplemented by central government. And then west of Valsain St. Joseph, what is paid in by residents under San Juan Laventil, and again supplemented by central government, they will have their resources to undertake their CapEx, their capital expenditure projects.
But yesterday we had Khadija Amin on, your parliamentary colleague for St. Augustine, and her contention, and I guess the UNC's contention, is that there are issues that may arise because, one, some areas have higher residential house values and they may pay more and expect more, and some areas may be less densely populated. They'll be less collected, and they may collect less, and so may suffer in terms of the resources that go into those areas. Can you respond to that?
Yeah, and that's why I was careful to say it will be supplemented from central government, and that is what the UNC is ignoring. And I said that clearly. I said what Tunapuna Piako collects will be supplemented by central government, and I also said clearly, same thing for Samuel Laventel. So even though you may have an area that is sparsely populated, it will be supplemented by central government. And the finance minister was clear to say that in budget debates. But according to the UNC, the system is broken, but leave it so. We are saying, no, the system is broken. Let's not leave it so. And they will cherry pick what misinformation to tell the public.
Yeah. I too thought that was clear. I didn't hear Ms. Amin yesterday, but I had to come off the program. But it was clear that the Minister of Finance said that whatever the shortfalls in the corporation, the ministry will supplement their subventions.
But UNC will never tell you that.
Yeah.
And you all need to be sufficiently aware so you can challenge them. And that's where the UNC gets away with murder in this country from the media. The media doesn't challenge them.
Yeah.
You could never get Kamla Prasad-Bissessa to come on a program as Dr. Keith Rowley does and answer questions from the public and answer questions from the media. She hides behind a screen.
We've tried.
Right? And similarly, I think media practitioners need to inform themselves. So when Khadija says those things, Paul, you could challenge and say, well, the Minister of Finance said that it will be supplemented. All of us have a duty to bring the truth to the public.
Well, we do challenge them, but we can't remember everything.
But that's an important point, you see.
It's an important point, but I asked the question for it to be clarified because my understanding was that there was still going to be a role for the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, even though this new regime takes place, because there are some areas, because it came up in the budget debates in both the lower and upper houses, where places that were less densely populated or where the residential house values didn't generate enough revenue for that corporation, it may the central government had a role and a responsibility at that to supplement the property tax revenues to make sure that services were provided for those areas. So
no,
I think you've clarified.
Paul, no. The point I'm trying to make is that if yesterday Ms. Amin was asked the question, didn't you hear the Minister of Finance say it will be supplemented? Then that bit of misinformation would have been addressed. Wendell knows about it. I know. The point I'm making is that the UNC gets away without challenge to their misinformation and disinformation far too often. That's the basic point I'm making.
What we're going to do is have you on as a co-host more often.
I'm not even very quiet this morning.
But he had my reminder, so he had time with me. He business and whatever happens in Joseph. Let's move on to the Ministry of Health and the issue with the Food and Drug Division and what prompted these visits by Food and Drug and this situation where the drugs were taken off the shelves, seized or whatever happened.
So nothing prompted this. This has been an ongoing activity over the years. Chemistry, Food and Drugs, under their act, has the authority at all times to enter pharmacies and do what they are doing. It has been going on for years. So that is misinformation and disinformation part number one. What we are doing this year is stepping up the activities in concert with the TTPS and customs. And we have tried speaking to pharmacists over the years and pharmacists and pharmacy owners. So I dismiss this talk about dialogue coming from Mr. Wazir Hussein and this morning from the Pharmaceutical Society. Chemistry, Food and Drugs inspectors have been very, very accommodating in talking to pharmacists over the years about their indiscretions. It has reached a point now where talking to them, advising them, pointing out their responsibilities under the Act is not falling on fertile ears. So we have decided that this year we are going to implement the law as it should have been done over the years. Because I notice Mr. Wazir Hussein has seen it is red tape at the ministry which forces them to sell expired drugs and unregistered drugs. Now, I brought some stuff here this morning to show you all. I'm going to ask Steve. Steve, you read this. You read this.
All right.
Which is being sold in a pharmacy for $35 a bottle. Read the name on the label.
Wendell, it's called, gentlemen, it's called the Pleasure Hammer.
Right. Tell me on that label where you see the name of the manufacturer.
There's nothing except the Pleasure Hammer.
Tell me where you see the address of the manufacturer.
There is nothing but the Pleasure Hammer.
Tell me where you see an expiry date.
No, that is something I watch all the time. Nothing. There's nothing on this label.
And you want to tell me.
So this, let me just show you folks here.
Yeah.
Very front. Yeah.
This
is all.
Yeah. This is all.
Nothing.
Pleasure Hammer. I never see that one before, Paul. You know that one?
No. Let's not make light of this.
No,
this is what
is that being sold in a pharmacy?
No, I have to consult with pharmacists to tell them that this is wrong.
I don't think you need to consult with pharmacists.
Well, Minister, you use the word indiscretion. And
hold on, because we don't have much time.
Okay.
Steve, read that.
Black Ant King.
Read the directions. How do you take that, Steve? As a member of the public buying that in a pharmacy.
Chasu Kaifan. Fried rice, chow mein chicken. It's all in Chinese, which I cannot read.
Do you see a date of expiry on that, Steve? If you had a problem with that, who is the manufacturer of that?
There's no date.
And all the writing is in what?
Chinese. You show the folks here. You can show them, yeah.
Right? This is what we are cracking down on. Look at this one, Steve.
What we got
This
there?
is the most egregious one. Look at the expiry date of that drug. It's on the bottom of the bottle. The bottom.
Oh, geez and ages. Date of manufacturer, April 2015. Expiry date, April 2018.
Right?
What is this?
And I am being told that this is because of the Ministry of Health. Look at the expiry date on this drug.
How is the Ministry of Health being blamed for that?
Well, that is what Wazir Hussein was saying in the Guardian yesterday. Look, it's on the top.
All right, let's see. Expiry, December 21.
Being offered for sale. This one, March 2021.
Wow.
How on earth is the red tape at the Ministry of Health responsible for this?
Now, Minister, you used the word indiscretion earlier on, but my contention with this is that those are dangerous circumstances because people's lives are at risk. People are being dispensed these I didn't call them drugs, these things to take. And they may put your life in danger. And pharmacists.
That's what I ask him. If someone takes these drugs now, what happens to the individual?
No, but I want to get to a point of legality before that. Is it legal for pharmacists to be dispensing these drugs or have them on their shelves and selling them?
It is totally illegal. And they are taught that in pharmacy school in their 4-year bachelor's degree program. They are introduced to all the laws and regulations pertaining to their profession.
Has anyone been charged for doing this?
Well, as I said, that is now going to the TTPS. And they are also taught the ethics of their profession.
And these products were found in 40 pharmacies.
Yeah, how wide? Which connects to how widespread is the problem, Minister? Is it a very widespread problem that you're encountering, or it's limited to?
Go ahead, sorry.
Or is it limited to a region? Or is it limited to a small number of pharmacies that are breaking those rules?
Yeah.
Well, according to Wazir Hussein, he said we were targeting 40 pharmacies. But that is not correct. We are going after and inspecting across the board based on intelligence that both the TTPS and Chemistry, Food and Drug gets. And whether you're a large chain or a sole trader, you are not excused or exempted from a visit from Chemistry, Food and Drugs, and very often in tandem with the TTPS.
So, Minister, so let me ask you a question. These products that you would have brought to the studio that are either expired or have no information, are they on the shelf for anyone to go and pick up, or are they in a place where you have to go and ask for it?
Very often they are behind in the dispensary. These there might be at the cashier. If you look at the cashier point of sale at any pharmacy, these impulse items, especially to do with male virility, fooling men into thinking that these things make them more sexually
potent.
You will normally find them at the cashier's counter.
Oh.
You mean Pleasure Hammer? I have to consult with a pharmacist to say Pleasure Hammer, the label has no manufacturer, no instruction.
But to me, that's a flagrant breach of the law and putting people's lives at risk. And to me, that's the real issue here.
And people are defending this. Wazir Hussein and the Pharmaceutical Society in the Guardian this morning are defending this.
But what's their defense for it?
We should have dialogue.
Dialogue on what? There's no expiry date.
But that's the point I'm trying to make.
There's nothing. What are the ingredients on that hammer thing? Nobody knows.
But I must have dialogue to tell them it is illegal, unethical, and downright dangerous to offer a product or pharmacy to a patient after you have gone to a bachelor's degree for 4 years. For 4 years.
To come down to that stupidity.
To come down to this level of stupidity.
Yeah.
Well, it's dangerous.
This is what Wazir Hussein and the Pharmaceutical Society this morning are defending.
The other side of that story, Minister, is how are these things getting here?
So when we ask them for receipts, because we are entitled to ask for receipts, we cannot get receipts.
But a receipt must be given
if
they're buying a product.
No, sorry. When we ask them for the bill, the invoice that they buy it from a wholesaler, we can't get an invoice, so we can't backtrace it. The wholesaler, a customs entry. It's a cash business. And I must have dialogue.
So is it part of like a suitcase trade where they bring these items in?
The suitcase trade.
It is exactly that. It's a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise.
And that's why I asked the question, because of how dangerous it is to be having, when you brought these, what you describe as impulse drugs, the question arises now, what other types of pharmaceuticals are passing under the radar of Chemistry, Food and Drugs that may pose a risk to the population's health who purchase them?
Well, it's not passing under the radar of Chemistry, Food and Drugs. The reason I have them, it is because it is on the radar of Chemistry, Food and Drugs. And I am being pilloried by pharmacists now for doing this. You know what a pharmacist messaged me and told me yesterday? That I should inform them when the inspectors are coming.
What? So they could move the
inspector. Okay,
so they could move Pleasure Hammer.
Drugs, Move the hammer, put it out, take it home.
So let's take this to the ridiculous level. The police is conducting an exercise to catch criminals. We must tell the criminals, look, boss, we coming by your home 7 o'clock in the morning,
But additionally, Minister.
No, this is a pharmacist.
No, because if you're breaking a law, it's criminal activity.
No, he berated me in a message telling me that we should inform the pharmacies when we are coming. So this is not under the radar of
Minister, I keep seeing Mr. Hussein's title as former pharmacy head. Is there a present pharmacy head?
Yes,
pharmacy board head?
Sahadev.
And what is his response to this as the present pharmacy board head?
I don't know.
Oh.
Has he reached out to the health ministry to discuss this issue that affects some pharmacists, obviously,
Not as yet.
and the regulation of the industry?
Gentlemen, the Chemistry, Food and Drugs divisions over the years has turned their faces blue talking to pharmacists about their legal and ethical responsibilities to the population. It has fallen on deaf ears. This idea of suitcase trade is as old as I am old in the pharmacy business. It's about 40 years old. But I am determined to, let me choose my words carefully, to impact positively on this. Because it talks about customs, it talks about warehousing, it talks about the responsibility of the pharmacy owners. And that's why when we ask the pharmacy owners, give us a bill for Pleasure Hammer, they can't. Give us a bill for Black and King, they can't. So we can't trace it back to an importer and then trace it back to see where they came through customs.
But look at that.
Are there other drugs, for example?
There, for example, people go into pharmacies and say, "Can I get 2 of whatever?"
Correct.
And they get 2 pills.
Yeah.
Maybe from an expired box.
Correct.
And the consumer does not know.
And
That's a very dangerous situation.
And I am being told by Wazir Hussein and the Pharmaceutical Society that it is the ministry's fault because of red tape at the ministry. Could you believe
you brought the
that?
emergency? I know.
No.
Okay.
Look at
other drugs apart from Wendell's favorite drug.
Tell me,
I can't
Steve,
pronounce
I'm
these
passing
things
it
at all.
to you.
All right. So I know this one is Crestor.
All right.
It's a cholesterol drug,
read
right?
the instructions.
What language is that?
Thank you.
It looks like Russian.
And pharmacists are taught that labeling must be in English in their 4-year bachelor's degree program.
Yeah.
Look at the others. Tell me.
All right. So it's Crestor. Whatever this one is.
What
Minister, does the ministry have any remit over the cost of drugs, particularly?
No. Let's not go down that road. This is a free enterprise system.
Okay, I'm just asking a question.
There's no price control, as we all know.
No, why is it in saran wrap?
From the public awareness perspective, is the ministry planning to go on a public awareness campaign so the public is aware that what is the standard practice and what they should be buying into or not buying into to protect their lives and health?
Yes.
No, but
the answer is yes.
This one says
it raises the question. It raises the question in my mind, Minister, because you have the very regulated or supposed to be regulated pharmaceutical industry. But as a corollary to that, you have a lot of these health places,
stimulants
that are pretty much unregulated, where you may have questionable characters saying, and of course we have a rich history in Trinidad and the Caribbean of natural remedies that are not necessarily under the same level of scientific scrutiny as drugs, but for which many people vouch that herbal remedies from the Caribbean and what people say, take this for virility, etc., etc. What's your take on that whole industry that is pretty much unregulated?
So my take is that we collected the evidence in November of 2018 on one particular individual. We sent the file to the DPP, and that's where it is, because we took it very, very seriously. So the file.
Would you care to share the name of the individual?
Would
you care to share the name of the individual?
No, because when this goes to a court of law, it must not be said that the Minister of Health said X, Y, and Z, and the case collapsed. Paul, I'm sure you understand that of all people.
Yeah,
I can't use the pharmaceutical license.
No, they are not pharmacies.
They are pharmacists.
They are not pharmacies. And I don't want to say much because of my job is protecting the public's interest. For the first time, a Minister of Health sent a file to the DPP on this issue in November of 2018.
Now, one of these drugs, you have kids on it. It's a kid's drug.
Yeah.
I don't know how many pharmacists that could read that language
They can't.
and say, well, suppose in legit it's give one, and they say, no, give him two.
Yeah.
But they're just guessing.
Yeah. And you know, pharmacists are angry with me personally. They say, how could I, as a pharmacist, do this to my fellow brothers?
Oh, it's a friend thing.
Yeah. And they say everybody wants corruption in this country to be addressed, but leave my part alone. You know, fix everything else. Fix the corrupt practices everywhere else, but leave my sector alone.
But I think it's dangerous also because it's preying on a vulnerable sector of society. When people are ill, they depend on a pharmacist as they depend on a doctor to give them legitimate information that and prescriptions that will improve their health. And if you can't read the label as a standard procedure to me or best practice around the world, or if you're dispensing expired drugs or drugs that are not supposed to be in the system, there's an issue there. Is it that what's the protocol? Because you can't have an expansive list of supplements and drugs and stimulants from around the world. Is there a guideline? Is there a list of banned drugs and supplements? How does it work?
Okay. So drugs that are approved by Chemistry, Food and Drugs and signed off by myself are gazetted. So it's in the public domain. However, the pharmacist is supposed to know all of these things. And by common sense, you do not purchase drugs from a wholesaler where you can't get an invoice. Purchase drugs from bona fide distributors that are invoiced. So if something happens, there's a paper trail. But we can't get an invoice for Pleasure Hammer. We can't get an invoice for Black Ant King. We can't get an invoice for all these drugs that have Turkish and Russian
with kids on it.
And you are taught this in your 4-year bachelor's degree.
Is it also an issue for drugs that contain THC? Because my understanding is that people who are seeking to have those types of interventions are also getting from some pharmacists in the country, though they may not have been approved.
Yes, and that is correct. And we are clamping down on all of those things. We are clamping down on all of those things.
That's a lot. If we can, in the last 5 minutes, move to the issue of NCDs in the country. I know you are passionate about this. And what's the ministry's perspective? Because I saw a report the other day that spoke to the Caribbean and the Trinidad Tobago being, if not first, certainly in the top 3 in terms of the incidence of NCDs in Trinidad and Tobago, putting a huge strain on the healthcare system and also certainly impacting negatively on the health and lives of the country, people in the country.
Yes, so NCDs globally is one of the #1 issues facing populations, mainly because we have adopted wholesale Americanized way of life, from food to being sedentary, from being linked to devices, especially for children, lack of exercise, the pushing of soft drinks and sugar beverages over water, the pushing of fast foods, and the Americanization of our diet and of our way of life is posing serious problems around the world. We have launched a very aggressive NCD program, and it is beginning to show some signs of progress. I recently shared with the public some data from one of our initiatives to control high blood pressure, where those patients enrolled in our clinics under a program called HEARTS, the number of people with controlled blood pressure is going up significantly. So we are having some successes there. In our diabetic clinics, we are starting to see evidence that people's HbA1c, which is a measure of your glucose control over a 3-month period, we are starting to see signs that HbA1cs, which are up to 7 is normal. People come into our clinics with 11, 12, 13, 14. It is starting to drop. So we are starting to see the fruits of our NCD programs. We are starting to see the fruits of our NCD program with breastfeeding. And we encourage all new mothers to breastfeed. That is a surefire protection against NCDs for both baby and mother. And do not introduce formula to your baby as early as you do it. We should try to exclusively breastfeed for about 6 months. And one of the statistics to show how breastfeeding is taking off now, before our 2020 national policy on breastfeeding, only 10% of the women given birth in our hospitals within 24 hours were breastfeeding. Now, gentlemen, that is up to 95%. We have moved from 10% to 95% early initiation of breastfeeding within 24 hours, and that includes mothers who deliver by cesarean section. So we are encouraging the adoption of lifestyle changes from pregnancy with our diabetes and pregnancy program, from early lactation, early bonding, early attachment to the breast and to the nipple. I have given you the statistics where we have moved from 10% to 95% early initiation of breastfeeding within 24 hours. I have given you the numbers on what we are starting to see are positive trends in the control of diabetes with the HbA1c numbers and the blood pressure numbers in our hearts program. So it is culture change. I mean, we are fighting a culture change which developed over decades. So we can't flip a switch. But since we started mounting these programs about 4 or 5 years ago, we are starting to see the positive trends and the positive shifts. And in the last few minutes I have left with your viewers, if I can encourage you to do 3 things. 1, substitute water for soft drinks and juices. Sugary-based soft drinks and juices have no nutritional value, and they lead to high rates of diabetes.
Energy drinks.
2, energy drinks too. Energy drinks are useless. 2, exercise is free. Walk around, jump, skip rope, push-ups, anything. Get moving. That is free. And 3, start to substitute a little more fruits and vegetables for this box lunch thing and this box, this chicken and chips and things.
Is the ministry concerned about the increase in the use of vaping devices in the country?
Yes, and there's a position right now that I'm taking. We got legal advice from the Attorney General as to how to approach it, and we are following his advice, and I'll be taking a position very soon to Cabinet on that.
Central Block progress?
I was there 2 weeks ago. It's about 34% completed. Hard construction is going to finish at the end of last quarter of 2024. We started commission equipment, and hopefully, all things being equal, it will be open by the first quarter of 2025.
Congrats on the admin building opening, and thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, and also Sangre Grande Hospital is on stream, hopefully for opening later on this year or the first quarter of next year.
I'm wondering about Sangre Grande, actually,
Yes.
because I know some work was going
that's
on.
That's a project that's very dear to me.
According to when the thanks are coming and full weekend.
It's sweeping time, Minister.
Breakfast.
I'll have my breakfast. Breakfasts.
No.
Thank you so much for breakfast.
We already have bids on it, Paul.
Well, have a good day, Minister. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, cheers.
You all have a great day. Be safe.
All right, folks, have a wonderful day. Remember to let go and let God. And stay away from Pleasure Hammer.
Of course, I just want to remind people that theatre is on this weekend, which is infinitely better for your health than Pleasure Hammer. And of course, it's on for one night only in San Fernando. Of course, space is very premium in San Fernando, and we could only get one night at Sapa on Sunday evening at 6:30 p.m. We will be having our play What You're Looking At Me So For. So South, we are finally in your area. One night only, Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Tickets available at our usual outlets, K Squared Fashions, Gulf City, C3 Center, Friends of Marabella by the Roundabout, and of course, Creme Fresh in Brentwood Mall in Chagonas. And also the box office at Sapa opens today from 12 noon to 6 p.m. so you can get your tickets at the box office at SAPA. I suggest get your tickets early since it's just one show. We expect that those tickets will zoom. So tickets are available at the SAPA box office from 12 noon today. Have a fantastic day. Remember to smile and laugh. It's good for your health. Have a good one.
All right, as the minister packs up his expired and Russian language drugs and leave my breakfast alone.
Did you not want it all this?
Ruben already has bids.
Why? What Ruben do? Ruben working in the morning? No?
Yeah, he does actually. He does.
I'm a stand bring me a breakfast.
All right. Okay, let's get into your news, Evie. Follow back your power choice.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The changes in local government are needed to check the unfettered power previously bestowed upon regional corporation CEOs. This is the view of St. Joseph MP Terence Dialsingh. Dialsingh, who is also the health minister, made the comment while speaking a short while ago on Power 102 Digital Power Breakfast Show. He revealed that regional corporation CEOs have the ability to delay or put a stop to projects, which sometimes led to central government and the members of parliament receiving the blame. Mr. Dialsingh suggested that arrangements was untenable, hence the changes proposed in local government reform. The EBC has agreed to allow the United National Congress to witness the sorting of special ballots. The United National Congress had called on Chief Elections Officer of the EBC, Phil Narcis Scope, to reverse a decision and allow the UNC to witness the sorting of special voter ballots on Friday, 11th August 2023 at the EBC's head office. Ms. Narcis Scope communicated a decision to not allow the UNC to witness the sorting of these special ballots via telephone to the UNC on Tuesday. However, an EBC statement suggested that in the time period between a verbal conversation between Prasad Bisasa and the Commission earlier on Tuesday and the UNC's leader's dispatch of a letter to the Commission later that day, the EBC had decided to agree to her request. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday published extracts from his Integrity Commission declaration forms as he sought to refute the claim that he had breached the Integrity in Public Life Act. Reports this week claimed that Dr. Rowley had not declared the purchase of a townhouse in Inez Gate in Chauvin, Tobago by himself and his wife. However, Dr. Rowley said notification of the purchase was filed with the Integrity Commission in 2019. A post on his Facebook page showed his Integrity Commission declaration of income, assets, and liabilities for the year ending December 2019, which includes the Tobago townhouse on a list of 7 properties owned by Dr. Rowley. A group of 64 Venezuelan migrants detained at the Chaguaramas heliport have been released, pending the outcome of their lawsuit over their proposed deportation. The migrants were among a large group of fellow nationals who were detained for immigration offenses at a nightclub in St. James on July 8th. Justice Ricky Rahim ordered that the group be released on orders of supervision, which will remain in place until their joint substantive lawsuit is eventually determined. The Immigration Division was also barred from executing the deportation orders against the group. And 28 citizens have been given permission to take legal action against the Office of the Police Commissioner over the lengthy delay in deciding whether to grant them firearm users licenses. High Court Judge Nadia Kangulu yesterday granted the claimants leave to pursue their judicial review and constitutional motion cases. The claimants were all issued provisional FULs after submitting applications to the Commissioner's office under the tenure of former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith and being vetted. They claim they completed training and were certified by registered firearm instructors, but Griffith's successors, former Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob and current Police Commissioner Earle Harewood Christopher, failed to decide whether they should be granted FULs. Well, that was your 8 o'clock update. Look out for news in full at 12 noon.
Up to date and credible. Power 102
Dialogue? What dialogue? Let's get into our Kiss Power choice.
As I run through the day, there's one thing that I need to make the memories and nutrition to grow. My Kiss enriched bread, the best taste that I know. Fill your day with love, we deliver the best for you. All across the nation to make your moments feel new. Fill your day with love, we bake the best back for you. A taste of inspiration to make those dreams come true.
Kiss and rich bread.
Fill your day with love.
All right, so I was just going to hit my song and it disappeared, would you believe? So I'm going to open up the folder. What is going on here? I don't even know if this is a song. Nope, that's not the song. I'll put that in my background. I'm not getting the song at all. But let me just do a fancy thing here for my Kiss Power choice. You know, my song just does not want to load, and I don't know why. Available. Why is this song not available? All right, so let me just. Oh, all right. This is a good one. I know you all would like this one. Here we go. I'll play a little Rudder for you. A little David Rudder. That's your Kiss Power choice this morning.
Islands in the fun. Welcome, welcome, one and all to the land of death. Trinity to the bone, Trinity to the bone. When they come to Bacchanal, well, they can't beat we at Trinity to the bone, Trinity to the bone. Sweet woman parade abundantly. The brethren, they full of energy. Some people say God is a Trinity. Paradise are not convincingly. God gave us a spirit fiery, but nothing in the world of